Hi Bill, how are you today?
Ding dang. And testing 1 2 3 1 2 3. All right, great. There we've got microphone settings. Great. We got volume. Amazing. Where is subtitles? Where are my subtitles? Where are the subtitles? Why are the subtitles not showing up? Video. We are recording. Great. Great. Okay, we just don't have subtitles. Isn't that strange? Testing 1 2 3 1 2 3. Great. No subtitles. Isn't that the limit? Oh, where thought I saw something. No. Feedback stats, performance recording. Nope. Nope. Advanced. Isn't that the limit? Where are my subtitles? Subtitles. Oh, I think I'm in the wrong place. Nope, not apps, more, and pause, stop. Hide video panel, share sound, meeting. Oh, I thought they were over here. Remote control, no. Annotate, no. Wasn't that the limit? Ding dang. Well, it doesn't look like we'll have any subtitles today. Isn't that unusual? I don't know what is happening there. The microphone is working. We've got sound that I know of. Should have everybody today. Welcome, Steve. This is fantastic. I get a welcome message up there. Fantastic. And we just got to find these subtitles. Isn't that the limit? Why don't I have? So there's been an update rather, to Zoom. So this may be the reason why. Video settings, nope. Isn't that the limit? Can't get over that. And yeah, strange. Don't think it's background. Nope. Definitely it's a recording function, but where are those subtitles? Isn't that something? Hmm. That is really interesting. I didn't realize this would be their update. Yeah, that is really something else. Okay. And it's not annotate. It's not remote control. Hmm. Well, I would think it's my subtitles on the PowerPoint. So going to, oh. Well, isn't that something? Hi, Henry, welcome. Trying to discover what we did. Subtitles, start subtitles. Listening, there we go. All right, so the new update changed something. No problem. We got it figured out. I knew I would. Just got to play with it. The beauty of computers, you can't mix them up, can you? You just keep clicking buttons until you get it. Yeah, that was really, really strange how those subtitles wouldn't show up. Well, we've got a few minutes, 4 minutes until we get started. 3 minutes according to the phone, 4 minutes on the Garmin watch. We'll be flying in no time. Having a look at the forecast. You know, we're getting some incredible weather here in the east, some ugly weather for all of you out in the west that are watching and listening. Got some unlisted people on the webinar today, which is normal, and that's great. For all of you in the east here, and those are that are on the screen that I can see, I think your weather is the same as mine. Absolutely spectacular day, and of course a little bit of rain tomorrow, and then everything kind of changes Saturday and Sunday for us here in the east and becomes more seasonal. I guess that's what you'd call it if you were a weatherman, right? I can't remember. I think it was Last Man Standing. It was a Tim Allen skit, and he was going to a cocktail party and talking to someone, or he was introduced to someone who was a weather woman, and she was really happy about her job and so on. And in typical traditional Tim Allen style, especially in that show, he was, I think, most opinionated we've ever seen him. But that particular show, his satiric humor was absolutely incredible, because he said to her, he said, you know, it's really fascinating how you can be so excited about a job that's replaced by a free app on a phone. Wow, could you imagine anybody saying that to you? I mean, you can think it all day long, but I don't think you express it. But anyway, it was made for TV, so probably not his typical behavior. Hopefully he's not really like that, but I really like Tim Allen as a comedian. Was watching a fantastic show, a documentary with Dr. Phil. It's called Fill in the Blanks I was watching on YouTube. It's a podcast that Dr. Phil has, and he had Ron White, the famous comedian with the Blue Comedy Rodeo Tour. And my goodness, I had no idea the amount of work and effort that Ron put into his career as a comedian. You know, when we see them all, they're famous and they're great and they're making it look so easy, don't they? And really, that's the secret of working at this and training and being a master of your craft. Ron came from extremely humble roots, like a town of 70 people. His mom was the grocery store clerk. He tells just a heartbreaking story about, as a young boy, being so poor that they couldn't afford to buy a lot of food and a lot of treats. And what he really liked was some hot dogs, pickled hot dog wieners. Can you imagine that? And they're in a jar. And so at the grocery mart, he would say to his mom, "Can I just go and look at them?" Just like, she goes, "You can look at them, but don't touch them because we're not going to buy them. So you can just go and look." And he'd stare at the shelf of these. That was just an amazing, enthralling story. And the interview that Dr. Phil did on him was just priceless. He never envisioned making a whole lot of money, did a whole lot of shows for nothing, did a whole lot of shows and on most of his career for $1,000 a week. And he really worked up to that. Like we're talking about $40 a night in the very beginning. And he was with Foxworthy at this point. They're doing the Blue Comedy Rodeo Tour. And he said to Jeff Foxworthy, he said, "I'm on track to make $250,000 this year." And Jeff goes, "That's fantastic. That's really great." And that year, he made $2.5 million. I may be wrong about that. It may be higher than it was. I think it may be higher than that. I may be wrong. It may have been 20 million. That's an insane amount of money, regardless. So I'm going to go with the $2 million. And it was just such a great podcast to watch. It just absolutely enlightening on some of the. Did you just think? You know, it's just the Ron White that we see right now that tells those magnificent jokes, and the story about being on the airplane, and the story about his dog, and the dog ate something and there was a tag in his dropping. Absolutely priceless. Anyhow, it is 10 o'clock. We are underway. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. We're talking about the 8 steps to success, the second step of the first phase of your sales success. This is the roadmap of converting every shopper every time. Now, do you find, as I do, the easiest person to sell something to, specifically automobiles, is another salesperson? Now, that salesperson may not work at another automobile dealership. I don't mean that. But anybody who is in sales, I find, is the easiest person to sell to. And you got to ask yourself why. And I believe that these shoppers that were or are salespeople in the same industry or a different industry recognize that you have a process, and they know the efficiencies of following a system. We know that we are most helpful and confident following a system, despite what you may think, because just because competency makes the system predictable does not make it, or should not mean, that it's boring and rigid. With practice, you'll develop competence facilitating the buyer odyssey through the steps that make your selling style customer focused. That's really what we're talking about here, being customer focused. And customers know that as well. They feel it, they sense it, which is great. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Bill Harvey, founder and owner of this system. This webinar is part of my learning management system of self-paced learning, on-demand virtual classes of one-to-one coaching in my mastermind group. Now, I created this system not so much for salespeople struggling or new in their career, but for all salespeople to follow and learn from, like a professional athlete learns the sport and then trains for the rest of their career, staying ahead of the competition. Because like you, if you're experiencing what I went through selling when interest rates were double digits and the economy was in recession, it was a system that I needed. I knew there wasn't anything like this out there. Yeah, there were lots of teachers, but if I didn't make copious notes or buy the wildly expensive, and even at that time, outdated VHS tapes, because the script had to be written, it had to be filmed, it had to be acted out, it had to be edited, or the DVD set, then there wasn't any training that went on afterwards. And that's why the one-day workshops, in my opinion, are completely useless now. Unless, of course, it's your manufacturer's product training, because you only have one day and they've got to get right across the country and do it with everybody. So even with my automotive marketing degree in hand, I felt incompetent, frustrated, and questioning my career decision. Now, as an adult, as an amateur at the time, with dreams of being a professional alpine ski racer, I knew the importance of training now in my professional career. Participation practice and stretching, including focus, had to be crucial elements of what I did. So quite simply, I just applied the theory that developed this system and honed it as a manager, and eventually facilitating it in my own Chrysler dealership, I refined it to perfection. So to this day, it intrigues me how many guys and gals follow a winged approach selling automobiles, never really helping shoppers find the right vehicle and working tirelessly with one shopper. These 8 steps will change your career without changing you. Anyways, just before we start, allow me a moment to familiarize everyone with the platform and set the room. If you're a Zoomer or expert, please bear with me. If you're new to Zoom, it's easy. If you see my lips moving, yes, there is sound. Click join with computer audio, assuming that you're reading the subtitles at the bottom of the screen. If you cannot hear me, look for the microphone icon in the upper left-hand corner of the Zoom window. If it has a red line or strike through it, then your speakers are off, like your microphone is muted. You can minimize this Zoom window in the upper right-hand corner and see if there is another window open on your desktop with the message join with computer audio, or click on the speaker icon or go to your audio settings to turn your speakers on. You can come back to the Zoom window by clicking on the icon in the tool tray at the bottom of your screen. To be less disruptive to those around you, think about connecting with earbuds or headphones. This definitely suggests that you are not available while staring at your computer screen. If the app did not go to full screen, you can do so by clicking the upper right-hand corner. You may want to put up a sign such as "I'm in a meeting" on your desk or on your office door. But as always, you need to be ready for those friendly shopper interruptions. Position your pointer at the bottom of the screen. The toolbar will pop up. Click on the chat button and a window will appear where you can send me a message. If you have a question, you can post it to me, but ideally, please post it to everybody. And then, as in any class setting, simple rules here apply of being respectful, courteous, and polite. Now, if you see a question and you know the answer, feel free to contribute in the chat window. If I ask you to give me a thumbs up or a smiley face, these reactions will be found on the toolbar. Position your pointer at the bottom of the screen. The toolbar will pop up. Click on reactions, and you can select the icon of your response. You can test this now. You can give me a thumbs up or a smiley face if you wish, because you get out of this session what you put into it. You want to passively sit and observe, that's fine, but you can't possibly expect to get the same results someone else who is engaged will. Thanks, Steve. Fantastic. What else have we got there? Thanks, Carter. Great job. Welcome. And going down the list. Hey, all right. Moving right along then. From step 2, that's a fancy one, Mark. Thank you for that. From step 2 of the on-demand portal, you can download and use this as your home screen to remind yourself to hit all steps to sell successfully. Download the PDF and print. Display it where you will see it regularly. You got it, Hamid. And I have a strategy that will help you facilitate these steps most effectively. So as you transition any step, you need to get confirmation and commitment with the tactics of overview, benefit, and permission. If you've been through the learning management system on-demand video lessons, you know what I'm talking about. This is your most efficient selling strategy. And the reason why I say that is that this is the easiest way that you can ensure the shopper's getting what they want, so you see yourself getting what you want. Otherwise, if you don't do this overview, benefit, permission, commitment, selling strategy, you just have no idea what you're going to sell. You could be wasting your time. You can say things on the overview with, I'd like to get your feedback or impression. And then the benefit is so that you see yourself getting the vehicle that you want. And then you gain their permission to carry on with something like this. Let's go on an evaluation drive. May I have your driver's license and photocopy it, please? So assuming that you've done so and the shopper is engaged, it's now time to get them super excited with a demonstration drive. The previous step of the product presentation is the warm-up. Some shoppers don't want your warm-up walk-around. Why? They want to remain impartial. They want to remain in control of their emotions. And they only want to think that all they need to make this decision is a quick spin around the block. Just an idea to get a feel for it, see how it's running. They think that that's all that they need to know. That may be so, but they can't see a huge difference between their old car and the new car by just going for a quick spin around the block. And of course, you really can't demonstrate some of the outstanding features, especially if they're coming out of the exact same product. Now, it may not be the same model. Your model may have been upgraded, which they're thinking to themselves, it's the same product. A Jeep's a Jeep, a Mustang's a Mustang, a Silverado truck's a Silverado truck. Not every time they change it, it is not the same. And every year, features are added and some features actually get deleted. So it's always best to walk them around. Think of your selling tactics then like building a bridge. What they don't like about their current vehicle with what the new vehicle will deliver, solve, or excite them on. When you present features and benefits through the evaluation drive, you solidify the buyer's plan. The old car is not shiny, out of warranty, seats flattened out, pitted windshield, and it's a gas guzzler with no driving dynamics. The new car is faster, more fuel efficient, more powerful with driving dynamics, full warranty, roadside assistance of less, same, or slightly more money than what they're paying right now. Now, slightly more is defined in the buyer's eyes, not ours, not yours. More can be $1. Speak to any seasoned professional out there, and yes, they've got a great story to tell you about how a client walked for $1. And of course, more can be, as we're starting to experience more frequently all the time, $1,000 more money on a payment. I'm not talking on gross price. Some payments are up by that much, and even more so. Now, if your bridge is successful, they'll fall in love with the vehicle and then, of course, convert quite easily, even when it's more money. Pardon me, sorry. Done right, the demonstration or the evaluation drive will transform the shopper from a logical state of mind to an emotional state of mind. So that's the step that we're in right now in the 8 Steps to Success program. This is part 2. There has been a previous step to this. So look for those recordings in the private members Facebook group. And if you don't have them and you'd like to get that recording, shoot me a text or a message or email me and I will send you the link to it. That's the bridge process from the emotional, right? Like, oh, from the logical, pardon me, logical. How much is it? How much is it? How much is it? Oh, what colors do you have to offer? When can I get it? To the emotional. Oh my gosh, I just have to have it. That's what we're after. That's what we're trying to do. That's always what you're trying to do, especially with automobiles, but essentially in sales in general. You will know that your buyers transition from that shopping mode to buyer mode with any question related to availability or price, because they see themselves owning it, loving it, caring for it, and driving it. Now, a big mistake ordinary average salespeople make is letting the customer demonstrate the vehicle on their own. This is step 4 in the 8 Steps to Success. It's a mistake because shoppers do not always realize how smooth, quiet, and tight the vehicle drives. Even used and pre-owned. Just let a pre-owned vehicle sit for 10 days on the lot and it just tightens up. Squeaks and rattles go away. It's fantastic, but you need to point that out to them. If they don't know how a feature works and operations, then if those operations and how to activate them looks confusing, you're sunk dead in the water, because the confused mind always says no. That's why you must accompany them on the demonstration, at least for a short orientation. They may not know how your heated steering wheel is activated and could be really interested in that. If you live in the Northern Hemisphere, the Northern 48 states, or Canada, now is the time of the year you want to know, does the vehicle have a heated steering wheel on it or not? What about the infotainment system, the Tele8 emergency response system? You have to demonstrate these things. Customers don't want to push a button for fear that they break something. Otherwise, they're stuck in a logical state of mind, confused, unable to justify 6, 7, 8, 9 more years at double their current payment, right? You guys are seeing it a whole lot more than I know about it. I know customers are coming in on double up payments now. So let's explore my proven, time-tested, and effective talk track. So ask them, will you be parking your new vehicle in the garage? And shut up. Wait for them to answer. Be patient. Don't worry about that quiet time. Yeah, it's awkward, but learn how to get used to it. You know, a cocktail party, especially this time of the year, Christmas parties and all the rest of it. Learn to listen. Lord gave us 2 ears, 1 mouth, twice as much listening as talking. This is one of those times. Don't even ask them again unless you're requested to do so. Will you be parking in the garage? And shut up. Whatever they say, follow up with this. Remember that. Whatever they say, it doesn't matter. I don't have a garage. I live in a condo. It's underground parking. Everybody parks in the garage. Yes, I'll be parking in the garage. I don't know. My husband, my spouse, my kids, whomever parks in the garage. Dirt bikes go in the garage. Snowmobiles go in the garage. The boat's in the garage. Whatever they say, doesn't matter. Say this. So this is why you want to shiny, newer, bigger, faster, better fuel economy with a full factory warranty. The shiny car gets the garage, does it? Don't list all those reasons. You wouldn't go through that as a list that I was counting them out. That's why I'm showing you like this. You wouldn't keep doing that. Doesn't make any sense. Pick 1 or 2 that make sense. Ask them, who's the first person that you will be showing this vehicle to when you drive it home? And doesn't matter what they say. I don't know, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, my mom, my dad, my uncle, my neighbor, my best friend, my ex relationship person, whoever that is, my boss. I have no idea. Doesn't matter what they say. Follow up with this. Oh, so that's why you want a shiny, faster, bigger, more fuel efficient with a full factory warranty automobile. This vehicle is capable of doing that, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what they say. I hope you really get that. These talk tracks are patented. They work flawlessly. I know because I've done them thousands of times and they work every single time. Here's another favorite. Ask them, are you planning anything special with your new vehicle? Like a trip, like a wedding, something special. And they'll tell you. And you can have a small conversation about that. Don't get into the weeds. Don't go off on branches and tangents and talking all over the place. And if you've got a talker type behavior, talker buyer behavior, you really need to harness them in, because they'll talk all day long about it. And you'll waste all the time that you have available with them. And customers don't like going over a 3-hour mark. They've complained about that for years. It takes too long to buy an automobile. So after you ask them the question, follow up with this. So that's why you want a shiny, faster, bigger, more fuel efficient with a full factory warranty vehicle. Pick the 1 or 2 that work for you. Don't name them all, just 1 or 2 when responding. So this is why you want a new vehicle with a full factory warranty, and then shut up and don't say a word. Let that really sink in. If they wanted to buy a truck, specifically a diesel truck, to tow a 30-foot motorhome, that they had this dream to go and drive the Cabot Trail in New Brunswick. So that's why you want a new truck with a diesel engine and a full factory warranty for your big road trip next summer, right? Let that sink in. Don't just glaze over it and rush into the next thing. Ask them, what is the second vehicle in your driveway? Does it matter what they say? Yeah, my husband just bought a brand new truck. Yeah, my kids just bought a brand new Jeep. Yeah, my neighbor just got a new Mustang. Yeah, my other neighbor just got one of those electric vehicles. They don't even know what the brand is. To which you answer, I hope you're getting the message on this. So that's why you want a shiny, newer, bigger, faster, more fuel efficient with a full factory warranty car, right? You see, this is where you pick one or two of those things, and then you reinforce the decision, the buying, the trigger, the hook, whatever brought them in. It doesn't matter what they say. You can use these talk tracks every time because you're building that bridge from this is their old car to the new car, what the old car's not doing. Ask them, how long have you planned to own a TRX, a Raptor, a new Corvette C8, a GTR Mustang? How long have you planned to own that? Now, I picked some boutique cars there, right? Some really exclusive automobiles there. It could be this could be the first brand new automobile your client, your shopper standing in front of you considering buying, the very first one. I've sold a number of people in their 60s their first brand new car. So that one is a great question, isn't it? How long have you wanted to own this? These subtle questions go deep to the customer's subconscious of owning this automobile they've come in to see. And they get this magnificent feeling sharing it's not really intimate details, but they are intimate details, right? Because it's not plastered across their forehead and they didn't hold up a sign for you. But these subtle questions of ownership help them see themselves owning it, washing it, going on vacation, rationalizing double the monthly payment that they're normally used to. These questions should demonstrate to you every shopper is a buyer. Now, did you stop doing evaluation drives over the pandemic? I know. And now going back is a little awkward or time consuming or even boring, or maybe you think it's more time efficient that you stay back here while they just go out and drive it. Well, get over that. Get over it fast, because you skip this step and the proper procedure of doing so, and you'll need 5 more ups to equal this one live hot prospect that you've got, that you're just throwing them the keys and say, take it for a drive. You'll need several routes with all elements of the road surface that the shopper could experience. If you can safely demonstrate driving dynamics of anti-lock brakes and traction control, go ahead and do so. Stability control, slow speed stopping, including pedestrian alert, is risky because even in a parking lot, if a police officer saw you doing stability control maneuvers or slow speed stopping where someone or something is standing in front of the vehicle, they could interpret that as careless driving, even stunt driving, stop you even doing so in a parking lot and give you a citation for it. If it were stunt driving or street racing, they will impound the vehicle and your license would get suspended. I'm sure they'd sort of understand, but at the same time, they may not necessarily believe you. So don't do that. Anti-lock brakes are easy. Traction control is relatively easy to demonstrate, and a lot of people still aren't familiar with it. But lane departure warning, blind spot alert, backup camera, self-parking features, park assist, and turning radius are definitely very easy to demonstrate on the demonstration drive. And of course, it complements your walk around if you mention those features there as well. If towing capacity of interest, find a deserted road or a steep hill to demonstrate acceleration. Now, if your dealership is in a metro market or on a highway with an entry and an exit of such, then your dealership may be a little sketchy to get in and out of, and therefore you should drive first. This way, it allows you to, well, you know the acceleration of what the vehicle is capable of. If it's brand new, I wouldn't suggest stomping on it to the floor, because you get someone who, like me, a motorist enthusiast with a little bit of an engineering mind, understanding that this is a brand new engine, hasn't been broken in, it's probably cold to start with. I don't want someone stomping on my new product right to the floor, especially since it's new, and you could show them progressive acceleration that wouldn't hurt the vehicle. You can also demonstrate features of the center stack and that huge display of all our vehicles now. Shortly afterwards, you want to stop and switch drivers, like very shortly afterwards. The demonstration drive isn't an opportunity for you to drive the car. The primary owner should drive the car most of the way, and the secondary owner, the spouse, the mom, the dad, the grandparent, the advisor, should drive about 20% of the evaluation drive. Inside the vehicle, a seating plan of 5 seats, and there's only 3 of you, means that you would drive first and at some point switch, moving to the front passenger seat. And that way you can continue to explain features and operations with the primary owner. And then, of course, keep in mind, you should have another safe place to stop again and switch, now moving to the back seat behind the driver, allowing the secondary driver to drive for a short period of time. When you sit behind the driver, they can see you in the rear view mirror. You're also talking directly to their ears, so they won't try to turn around and be polite and talk to you, taking their eyes off the roadway. And the rear seat behind the driver is the second safest seat in the car. The most safest seat in the car is the driver's seat, so you're sitting in a good spot. That, I think, is really important for you to get in your procedure, the demonstration drive. Far too many trainers have said, you know, take them on a drive. Take them on a drive, as if that's self-explanatory all on its own. And of course, we dive deeper into, throughout the program, what the demonstration drive route should include, that rough road, railway tracks, and all the rest of it. So you really need to plan it out. This stuff doesn't happen by accident. That's why you never let a driver or a couple just drive off all on their own. Say, you know, take it for as long as you want. If there are 2 seats and 3 of you, you want to facilitate 2 demonstration drives, one long, one short. Obviously, there are more people than there are seat belts, and that's a safety concern. At the first dealership that I worked at, a salesperson wedged himself in behind the front seats of a convertible to accommodate the customers on a drive. Well, when they got back to the dealership, the guy had a miserably tough time getting out of the tiny little compartment behind the front seats, and the customers actually laughed at him. Furthermore, I overheard the conversation between the 2 shoppers, how awkward it was having him there, how silly it was with no seatbelt, and how uncomfortable it was with the seats pushed up against the dash. Well, as you can imagine, he didn't sell the car. Once you've taken the customer on a demonstration drive and they appear comfortable with it, then you can suggest that they take it on their own. You may get a request if they want to take it on their own. Just make sure you have management's approval before just letting somebody take off and drive. Now, it's common practice, if not already policy or regulation, to photocopy the driver's license. You want to check the driver's license for validity and tampering. Now, you're not a police officer, but if you think the driver's license has been tampered with or the picture does not look like them, then run it by management ahead of time. Before going out on your demonstration drive, tell reception that you're going out on a demonstration drive for at least 30 minutes. Check your fuel level, bring your wallet, and bring your cell phone. Ask your shopper what radio station or genre they like to listen to and pair their phone. Even suggest that they make a call demonstrating the Bluetooth connection, microphone, and speakers. If you have TeleAid, a demonstration with the operator is very impressive. And then, of course, on the way back, 5 or 6 minutes out from the dealership, don't say anything. Just let the shopper soak it all in. Don't say anything. Get really comfortable and confident, not saying anything. You don't always have to fill in the silence. The silence is deafening. I know. Get comfortable with it. Now, how long should your demonstration drive be? I've hinted at this before, because 5 minutes is not nearly enough to move a shopper from a logical state of mind. How much is it? How much is it? How many payments is it? Oh my gosh. Especially how our payments have gone up so dramatically because of price of cars and now interest, to an emotional state of mind where I just, oh my gosh, I've got to have it. So you've got to take them out on at least a 20-minute drive. That's only 10 minutes out and 10 minutes back. That's why you want to check the fuel in the vehicle. Don't tell a shopper to take a car for a 20-minute drive, because they won't, for 3 reasons. Number one, they just don't. They get bored, or they get worried, or they don't know how long 20 minutes is because they never looked at their watch. They're looking at the fuel gauge. My mom thought that any fuel gauge reading at 1/4 of a tank and above was too low. She was panicking at above 1/4 of a tank to get fuel. And of course, if you sent her out and it was just above the yellow light, or the yellow light was on, then she's not going to enjoy driving the car at all. She's just simply focused on the fact that it has no gas in it. They're worried that they could run out of gas, or maybe they will run out of gas. It's happened frequently. It's happened to me. I've been on the demonstration drive where we ran out of gas. I didn't check the fuel gauge. That's why I say to you, check the fuel before going out. It was early on in my career. Don't beat me up over it. And of course, there's a chance that they may not come back. So those are the 3 reasons they don't go on a 20-minute drive. They could run out of gas, and they may not come back. Now, the first reason is the conversation that the buyer is having in their head is telling them to take the vehicle back before they like it, or worse, damage it. Now, the most frequently asked question that I get is, Bill, do I have to go on the drive with my shopper? To which my answer is always enthusiastically, unquestionably, yes, absolutely, every single time. Why wouldn't you? You can't overcome concerns or objections, let alone hear them, if you're not there. The all-in-one center stack displays of all of our vehicles are intimidating. Take them on the highway, over a rough road, stop and go traffic, into a golf course parking lot to do a driver change. Then step back while you're doing that driver change and allow them to take it in. See the car away from the dealership in an environment where they might frequently go to, and see the car the way they would look at it when it was theirs, when they own it. This step definitely transformed them from a logical state of mind to an emotional state of mind. Like, oh my gosh, I've got to have this now. So back to our hub of the 3-spoke wheel of overview, benefit, and permission. Are you getting these tactics of overview, benefit, and permission forming your selling strategy? This is a check and balance, ensuring that you see the shopper getting what they want, so that you see yourself getting what you want. Throughout the sales process, we need to check their commitment. Don't oversell yourself by talking too much either. Less is more. You don't want to miss the buying clues. You miss buying clues when you're talking too much. These are the traits or the mistakes of average, ordinary salespeople. Without this system, or any system for that matter, their winging it style misinterprets politeness of the buyer for being interested, of which the buyer may not be interested in. And pardon me, I misspoke. They're not buyers yet. They're shoppers. Keep that in mind. This is the second of 3 commitment checks where we gauge readiness with the permission spoke, like, for the same price or slightly more, is this the product that you'd like to own? Grab your pen, write this down. For the same price or slightly more, is this the product you'd like to own? Isn't that golden? If they say no, stop showing it. Are they going to say no? Wouldn't they have said no already? So you're going to get an easy yes. Only with a yes you can proceed. A maybe or a no means stop, verify before moving on. even with a maybe. Maybe. Why maybe? This is the second greatest financial decision you make in your life. How can you maybe be interested in this car? It's either yes or no. Make a customer say that. It's either yes or no. Like, which is it? They go, wow. Make them see themselves. Make them see themselves getting what they want. Average ordinary salespeople rely on negotiation to sell and wind up with low gross deals, minimum commission, unhappy with their career. All because they're not listening and getting commitment. Now, assuming you have commitment, let's move on. If you've not already done so, now we're in the next step of the 8 steps to success, and we're filling in an appraisal form of either a paper version or an electronic version. Either way, you need to know make, model, color, mileage, trim level, maintenance records going back 6 months. Ask them, what have you done to the vehicle? Other than an oil change, what have you done to it? If it's an older vehicle, like I'm talking 6, 7, 8, 10 years old, other than an oil change, a tune-up, and brake work, what else have you done to the vehicle? Other than those 3 things, right? Because a lot of people think, hey, it's still running. Like, why do I have to do the brakes? It still stops. We need to highlight that and demonstrate to clients. You know, when we have a look at that, these are the things that constitute the reconditioning process of the vehicle. So going back 6 months, do you have an extended service plan on the vehicle, rust protection plan, monthly, how much is the monthly payments and how many payments are left? I got to stop right there. In my opinion, in my dealership, the most important thing that I can get when taking a trade-in, what's the monthly payment? How many payments are left? Now, we covered this back in step 1 at the Dynamic Buyer Odyssey, but here it's just as crucial. Pardon me, part 1 of the 8 steps to the process in the interview. Pardon me, that's where I covered it earlier. But you've got to go over this again. What is the monthly payment? How many left? What that tells you is the sweet spot that they're ready and willing to pay because they've already been paying it, even though they want to probably reduce their payments. And secondly, how many payments left, you can calculate a rough payout, lean payout. Now, rough is probably quite accurate if it's a 0% or a very low interest rate. As interest rates start to climb in subsequent years, it'll be more difficult for us to do so. But when you calculate payout based on the number of payments, you are on the conservative side, you're erring on the side of too much, and when you actually get a real payout, it will be less. Ask them if there's accidents and anything else that'll help the used car appraiser or manager evaluate the value of the vehicle. Now, don't ever say wholesale, wholesaler to a shopper. Don't ever say wholesale or wholesaler to a shopper. That simple message is that everyone wants to buy at wholesale and sell at retail. You don't want your shopper at this point, having gone through all the steps still with you, to feel like they're selling their trade-in to us at wholesale and they're buying the new product at retail. If they feel like that, they'll definitely say, you know what, let me think about it. I need to shop around, or I had no intention of buying today, or I never buy this quickly. I need to go home and sleep on it. So the overview is, say this: we use the Bank Book Appraisal Guide. We use the Bank Book Appraisal Guide. You could say the Bank Book Appraisal Process. You could say the Bank Book Appraisal Guide. You could just say, we use Bank Book to determine the value of your vehicle. The benefit is that it is the most accurate representation of the value of your vehicle, as this is the amount the bank would use as collateral on a loan for you. I'll repeat that for you. If you're trying to write this down, I'll go slow. The benefit of Bank Book, the benefit, it is a most accurate representation of the value of your vehicle, as this is the amount the bank would use as collateral on a loan for you. And then you need to get their permission before moving on. And you'd say this: are you okay with our procedure? Simple as that. It's as easy. Here's the overview. We use the Bank Book Appraisal Guide. The benefit is that it is a most accurate representation of the value of your vehicle as it is the amount the bank would use as collateral for a loan for you. And are you okay with that? How do they say no? No, I don't want an accurate appraisal. No, I don't want you to give me the most that I could possibly get. No, I don't want to know what my vehicle's really worth. It doesn't make any sense. They'd never say that. You're going to get a nice, easy yes, because it just makes sense. This is the purpose of training. You're going to have to rehearse and rehearse and rehearse and practice that till those talk tracks roll off your tongue like they do for me. And now you've got a system. When somebody says, hey, I'm ready to do this right now, but before I look at your car, before you take me out on a drive, before I need to know anything, what's my car worth? Okay. Fill in your paper or your electronic system, ask the necessary questions, and then overview, benefit, permission, selling strategy. At this step, if I get you a bank book appraisal, are you good with that? How do they say no? They want an appraisal. Either way, whether you've spent 90 minutes with them or you've met them for the first time. This is the purpose of theory. Now you train to it over and over again. You're going to see me repeat this. When we go through our one-on-one coaching sessions, I'm going to ask you this. If you say, yeah, I still can't take trades, or customers are ridiculous on their trades bill. Yeah, I don't know what, everybody wants the moon. This is ridiculous. Like, okay, take me through it. Let's role play. I will call you out on it. Here it is, handed to you on a silver platter. No reason not to do it. I'm challenging you. Do it, read it, rehearse it, practice it, and then leverage it, capitalize on it. Only move on with a yes, with no exception. If you've already been asked by your manager, are they ready to buy? Well, if you cannot confidently say yes, this is why. I know, because I did it. I built the system to help me sell 8 out of 10, not accepting 1 in 5 like average ordinary salespeople. I really hope you're getting the idea that you'll need less shoppers to hit double digits now and make a 6-figure income with this selling strategy. So the next few slides are for demonstration purposes. Your manager will tell you how they like trade appraisals presented and follow that process. Every store is different. You have your own unique DNA. My bank book appraisal process, and it's just a name. That's all it is. My bank book appraisal process really spells it out for the buyer. The procedure makes it easy for the shopper to accept your amount. First of all, you start with what they paid for the vehicle, the selling price. Most of them are going to say, I don't remember. Maybe they really don't remember. So you'll work off of MSRP. You can go to the internet and find out what that is. Step number 2, you'll divide the mileage or the kilometers, depending on the country that you live in, into 160,000. Doesn't matter whether it's miles or kilometers, into 160,000 to demonstrate the amount of use that they have had. And then in step number 3, you subtract that amount from their purchase price. The difference figure represents what the bank would loan the next owner using the automobile as collateral. But we're not done. Now, we're going to sell it. So we're going to recondition it and then put it out on the front line. In the on-demand portal, I have several talk tracks to walk you through and address concerns all along the way. So now we need to estimate fix and repair costs. And we're doing this worksheet right in front of the customer, such as replacing tires, certification, brake service, oil change, replacing anything broken, mirrors, holes or tears in the seats, the carpet and the floor mats, the 180-point inspection, and a thorough new car detailing procedure, including paint work on the bumpers, door dings, and scratches. Now we need to subtract these amounts from the previous line, the difference figure, and adjust for any accident history from CarProof or Carfax. You can add or subtract market variance as well in order to reach your bottom line. The only time that this worksheet doesn't work, gang, and I'll share these intimate details with you when we go to our one-on-one coaching sessions, is when the vehicle is very old, like 10 years old, and has very little mileage on it. So for instance, if we were to go back to like even a 20-year-old vehicle, let's go back into the teens of the Mustang. That particular Mustang is not very popular. You can go on Auto Trader, Kijiji, Facebook Marketplace at any time. You can find those cars anywhere from $500 to $2,500. It was just one of those anomalies. Now they'll become popular because they become a hot rod, because the cheapest ones always become hot rods, and then someone sensationalizes it, such as Cletus McFarlane, and then everybody wants one and wants to hop it up. But right now, they're inexpensive. If you had a client coming in with 20-year-old that particular Mustang with 15,000 kilometers on it, this equation would not work because they haven't used up very much. The whole fundamental basis is the amount of mileage that's on the vehicle. The other time that it wouldn't work is, let's take something really fantastic and super, a turbo diesel pickup truck that is a year old and it has 150,000 kilometers on it. It is going to depreciate radically because we only go to 160. That means 10% of it is left. And of course, the buyer would just almost rip your head off at the number that you would give them. So you want to work through the worksheet with your manager before going through and delineating it with the customer. But this is the easiest way to share with them very rationally what their vehicle is worth. The advantage of using the bank book explanation is that if the buyer gets offended or agitated with the number, not your number, the number, the bank is the bad guy, not you or anyone in the dealership. Don't blame your used car manager. Don't blame your manager. Don't blame your owner. Don't blame your wholesaler. Don't blame anybody. Blame the bank. It's like blaming the government. It's just acceptable to blame them, unless of course, they work for the bank. The explanation is reasonable and the math defines it for you. You or the manager are not the bad guy. The bank is. This makes it easy for the customer to accept the value that you are offering. Again, there's much more covered on this delicate subject in the second step of the manifesto of the training portal, and I would direct your attention to that. So let's go on, in the interest of time for today, step 6 of the 8 with a brief tactic for gaining permission to buy, because this is the purchase consultation now. At this point, you should be 99% certain you have selected the right vehicle and they're going to buy it because you've been confirming it all the way along. The price was presented at the second step, the interview. If you're facilitating the selling strategy of overview, benefit, and permission, negotiations should not come up as an objection in step number 6 now, the purchase consultation. You'll clearly illustrate at the interview that you asked them if it was affordable, to which they had said yes at that point. That could have been minutes or hours ago. And of course, if it wasn't affordable, you would have selected another vehicle that is more affordable, right? Yeah, I know. And they do too. If you've done a good job bridging the transformation, adding value throughout the presentation, seeking commitment, and the transformation from a logical state of mind to an emotional state of mind, then you did it. So in our coaching sessions, if you tell me customers are tough, want to negotiate, present silly offers, I'll call you out on it. I want you to walk me through the overview, benefit, permission strategy of the 8 steps to the sale. If you skip a step, you and I'll both know. But I know 13% of shoppers like to negotiate. So I cover those various tactics in the closing and negotiation steps of 5 and 6 in the sales intelligence phase. So this slide and explanation is for demonstration purposes only. Demonstration purpose only. I'm using simple math, not a proper loan amortization schedule. Make sure your manager is involved in whenever you calculate payments, especially if that's your process. And I know many of you are not to calculate payments unless doing so at the sales desk or the tower, and follow that rule. It's simple. It's there for a reason. You can get guidance and coaching in a nanosecond to ensure that these shoppers convert. Calculating payments on the new vehicle, you will have to add in the lien amount, the loan that is outstanding, to calculate those new payments. Make sure it is a finance or a cash vehicle. It is not a leased vehicle. You cannot trade in a leased vehicle. Your manager will walk you through that if that is not familiar to you. This way, the buyer will only have one payment on their new automobile. If the buyer objects to your price and starts to negotiate, no problem. I cover those various strategies in Mastering Negotiation. For now, let's complete the sale. There are 3 ways buyers can pay for their new vehicle: cash, check, which is obviously check, bank transfer, certified check, e-transfer, all of which are probably their line of credit, but could actually be cash. Bank financing for 48, 60, 72, 84, 96 months of, and then of course, lease financing of 24, 36, 48, or 60-month options. There are advantages and disadvantages of each, and you should not make the decision for the shopper without a clear understanding of how they plan to use their vehicle. There is a detailed selling strategy for leasing in phase 2 of selling intelligence and closing abbreviation. And we touch on it in Mastering Negotiation as well, leveraging it as a choice. Rest assured, I will not leave you ill-prepared and out in the dark. We will eventually come around to it, even in one of these virtual classrooms. So let me build your confidence with agreement terms that a buyer may ask you. The close-end lease refers to your OE's leasing program, allowing customers to drop the vehicle and keys off at the end of the lease and walk away or release another vehicle. The open-end lease is an agreement whereby the customer must buy the lease out at the end of the term. And I should say must, the customer agrees to buy the lease out at the end of the term, less so than must. And of course, we can treat an open-end lease like a closed-end lease and take it back. That's how a lot of independent leasing companies continue to build their portfolio with repeat and referral sales. But most independent leases are structured as open, that the client agrees to buy it, whether the leasing company agrees to take it back or not. Residual, end value, buyback, or future value is the trade-in amount forecast 2, 3, and 4 years away. We subtract this from the selling price, and the payments are calculated on the net difference. That's how a lease is structured in a nutshell. Depreciation is actually a mathematical equation. It represents a loss of value over time. An in-house or brokered lease are one and the same term and almost exclusively open-ended, meaning the driver, for independent or brokered lease, meaning the driver agrees to buy the lease out at the end of term. Negative equity, reverse equity, or upside down means the buyer owes more on the vehicle loan than what their vehicle is actually worth. The lease financing factor is the interest rate used to calculate the lease. That's the interest rate. The capitalized cost is the purchase price or selling price or negotiated price that the vehicle sold for, used to calculate lease payments. Now, a capitalized cost reduction is the amount of money put down, including trade-in, to reduce the selling price of the automobile that we'll use to calculate the lease. Did you get that? Capitalized cost reduction is the amount of money put down, including a trade-in, to reduce the selling price, the capitalized cost, in other words, to lower the monthly payments on the lease. Remember a while ago, I said ordinary average salespeople avoid talking price? Well, here's a little secret for you. At the interview or on email, excuse me, or on the phone, our advertised payment, your advertised payment that you're going to quote them, should be calculated on a 4-year lease with 20% down meaning the down payment is not including tax. This will be an on-delivery amount, calculated on a low kilometer residual with a pre-tax payment. Let me repeat that. My secret, pardon me, excuse me, for interview, email, and on the phone is that our advertised payment on any vehicle, you can do this on any vehicle, even if it isn't advertised, but you can say the advertisement is, and your monthly payment that you're quoting is calculated on a 4-year lease with 20% down, low kilometer residual, pre-tax payment. You could build all of these for yourself ahead of time. You could memorize them for every single model on the lot. So you could say things they start at, or the vehicles that we have the most of are advertised for, and that pre-tax payment amount. Now, if the customer said to you, oh, pardon me, I'm getting ahead of myself. Always remember, you have affordable options to help the shopper get the vehicle that they want. So if they said, oh, well, that's too much, or that's too little, and I find it awkward or unusual. Someone said, oh, that's too little, let me pay him more. They don't say that, but they're inferring that they want a better vehicle or a different vehicle. This advertisement would provide the shopper with a really attractive payment now, wouldn't it? Right? 4-year lease, 20% down, low kilometer residual, pre-tax payment. I do not share any of those details with the shopper. Now, if they said to me, they say, well, what are the details? They say, oh, that's the normal amount down at our preferred rate and term, provided you qualify. Did you write that down? I hope you're writing down 4-year lease, 20% down, low kilometer residual, pre-tax payment. And if they say, what are the details on that? That's what the normal amount down, preferred rate, and term, provided you qualify. That's the normal amount down at our most preferred rate and term, provided you qualify. That allows you to come back to them and say, if this one isn't affordable, we have lots of other choices. If you don't qualify for this rate, we have lots of other choices. This puts their mind at ease that they've come to the right person, and this is what creates your attractive character. This is where everything is no problem, because you got a plan. It just needs to fit the system, and your system are choices, which is customer focus. This is what I was talking about. If the customer shops your price, average ordinary salespeople were asked for the details, and all the customers got is, well, that's the normal amount down, their most preferred rate and term. Woo, that says nothing, right? And of course, the normal amount down, which they have no idea about, the other dealers are going to be trying to calculate something with nothing down, and they're going to be like, they're below cost. And they're going to say to that customer, they quoted you below cost. You're going to have to go back to them and get the details. Perfect. Send them back to me. Yes, tell them that I did something wrong and they need to come back and see me. And now I've got a B back and a 73% chance of closing them. That's why we structured like this. I'm not trying to be tricky or covert, but if the customer is going to shop you, you need to give them a hook to bring them back. Kilometer or mileage allowance is the mileage a buyer is allowed to drive included in the price of the lease. Don't say free. It's included in the price of the lease, because that's how we calculate depreciation. We need to estimate how much driving they're going to do to be accurate on the depreciation. Excessive kilometer penalty is what a buyer will pay going over the mileage allowance, accelerating the depreciation because they used it. And say that, right? Excessive kilometer is a penalty, but the buyer got to capitalize on it. They went over the mileage allowance, which accelerates the depreciation because they used it more. Plain and simple. If there's 2 vehicles on the used car lot, they're same color, same trim level, same year, same make, same model. One has 60,000 kilometers or miles on it. The other one has 80,000 kilometers or miles on it. Are they both priced exactly the same? Well, if they were, what one would a customer take? They look exactly the same. Simple answer, right? The residual value or end of the lease commitment is the amount the buyer will pay plus fees and taxes and certification, if that is necessary in your country, to continue ownership of the vehicle. And wow, that's it, gang. We're out of time. Gift of time. We're just under a minute. Be sure to block time in your calendar next week for these Thursday sessions at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All this material and more is found in week 2 of your is found in week 1, step 2 of your learning management system. If you really want to get the most out of this time that we spend together, go to the Auto Dealership Academy private members Facebook group, our mastermind, and post, or ideally, just grab your phone and go live for 2 minutes, and harness yourself to 2 minutes. Go live and tell everybody in the group what you've learned, what you found helpful, what you've experimented with, or what you have a concern with. Go live just because it's easier. Are you voice note texting now? If you're not, start. It's dynamite rather than texting away and all the excuses, oh, fat thumbs and spell check and all. Then if all that stuff bothers you, dictate. Use your phone. Let's use the technology, right? It's dynamite. Yeah, Carter, so soon. You got it. Now, does anyone have a question or comment? The floor is open. I'm here for as long as we have questions and comments. Use the text chat to voice in your comment, or you can unmute yourself and you can use your microphone and read it in. Does anybody have a question, a comment that they would like to add to this? Any questions or comments? I'm going to do a quick attendance as well. Fantastic. And who else have we got there? We got anybody have a question, a comment? Questions, comments? I think I missed Mark. Mark, who gave me as opposed to a thumbs up or smiley face, Mark gave me a big kiss. Thanks, Mark. Anybody have a question or a comment? What is it like out there? Text me in what buyers are doing to you. What are they saying? What is happening most recently? Hey, Hamid, thanks so much. Really appreciate that. What are buyers doing? Anybody really struggling with the increase in the monthly payment and how the monthly payments have changed so significantly? I mean, I don't think it's an impediment to the business, but I do think it's a factor, unquestionably. And of course, if interest rates go up, I'm not seeing the effect of anything right now with the election in the US and what unfolds for Canada and what it means to us, but maybe going forward. Trade values, Hamid, okay. Tax savings, absolutely, 100%. Thank you for pointing that out. I didn't identify that in here as well. For anybody that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to, when, at least in Canada, when you trade a vehicle in, it is done so at pre-tax value, and I think that is consistent throughout North America. Yeah, luxury tax. That is certainly playing a significant role. I have a very close friend who's in the marine industry, and I think almost everything is affected by the luxury tax with them. So I'm getting some details and intel on how consumers are handling that. It is an adjustment, that's for sure. The luxury tax on items like that has been prevalent in the US for a long period of time, but we'll see how it unfolds for us. It is, yeah, the interest rate is settling, right? People are recognizing that they didn't act early enough, and now they're just here. And if they have to buy, good for you. You know, it is what it is. That's for sure. Great comments. Thank you. Wow, I didn't know Toyota was at can I say 8.5 at 8.45? Wow, that is husky. I know Honda, spoke with a close friend who's a Honda dealer last week, and he is still shocked at their interest rates. Both manufacturers. Yes, Chrysler's still 6.5. Excellent deal. I saw a YouTube advertisement for F-150 at 1.5. You're welcome, Matt. Thanks so much for joining me. Henry, is F-150 still what, 1.5, 1.49? I saw that Escape had jumped up significantly, and I'm just wondering what everything else is currently running at. Interesting to see manufacturers lift up so quickly. Classic is at 0, which is fantastic. Now, how many do you have? What's availability of Classic, Hamid? Great. Excellent. Excellent, Carter. Super. Well, it's nice to see that. What's Silverado at? Anybody know what Silverado, what GM's doing? Clearly a Toyota would be at 8.5. I would imagine all Toyotas are at least 8.5. Our Toyota dealer in this town is still, looks like they're out of business. Like, absolutely unbelievable. Honda is much the same. They look like they're out of business. Nissan's not too bad. Mazda's looking okay, not great, but our Mazda dealer is a very aggressive used car dealer. So he has looked like he's weathered the storm, or she has. Actually, it's a female dealer principal. She's weathered the storm really well. Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, that is fantastic, because customers certainly like 0. We are very conditioned to 0. So anything above 0, I think, is a wee bit of a shock. That is for sure. Jen, what's Silverado at? I know Jen's at a GM dealer. She'll be able to share with us what their preferred rate is. But it's amazing how what is old is still rather new. You know, double-digit interest rates for me were not amazing, not unusual. I mean, they just were. I remember selling my dad a Cadillac, and I just started in the business, and I think he was trying to help me out because it was November and it was miserable at the peak of the recession. Nothing was happening. This is just before manufacturer sales tax came off, and GST was going on. And of course, GST was being calculated on the top line, and then you'd subtract the trade-in off, and then you'd calculate PST on the bottom line. I mean, I spent more time selling customers on how the tax is calculated than I actually did selling the automobile. It was a frustrating time, to say the least. But anyhow, I remember saying to my dad, you know, if you're interested in a new car, we've got 10.9 on Cadillac right now. And it was just like that advertisement you saw in the truck where I was standing beside it. That eventually went to the whole product lineup because it was so successful at Cadillac. But I remember him saying, I have to buy one. Like, I really, really have to buy one, because it's just, that is so cheap. I can't get money at the bank for that. And he was running a large entity in a big corporation, and interest rates were just that high. They had come down from the previous, I guess, big change in the market, which would have been the mid 80s, which were the stores, the horror stories you heard of, the 20% range, where people's mortgages were in 20% range. I was in the, I think a standard rate was 17%, a subvented rate was 14% by the manufacturer. And of course, in this particular case, we had 10%. My dad rushed in and bought it. We sold out of Cadillacs in 1 month. If you can believe it, at 10.9. So it's funny how history just repeats itself. And not that the talk track needs to change a whole lot, but it does. It modernizes itself. And these ones are the ones that I have used extensively and continue to use in my lot. I have an independent lot and test out on a frequent basis. And they just resonate with the consumer. It's not to push them into something, it's to help them make the decision that they want to make. So the pipeline, and you, Carter, you should be coming up on that very shortly. The prospect harvesting pipeline step. We'll share a lot of those details with you as well. You've got a little ways to go before you get to the blueprint. The blueprint will complement the prospect harvesting pipeline step number 4. The blueprint is step number 8, and it focuses on repeat and referral. Those are the best ones to leverage during the colder months. You've got more time in your hands to make the calls. You can rehearse and practice the talk tracks in order to do so. There isn't as much walk-in traffic coming in and interrupting your plan to make 10, 15 calls a day. And of course, closing over the phone is always really difficult, but consumers are getting more familiar with it. Everybody is trying to figure out this virtual capacity. I think big corporations and corporate America, the movement now is to figure out who needs to be in the office at bricks and mortar and who can work from home and do this virtually, where we did rely on a lot of face-to-face. I would suggest if phone is difficult closing, I would suggest going to a virtual meeting like this, Zoom, WebEx, Microsoft's Teams, Google Meeting, Google Meetup. Those are excellent ways for you to be able to see the facial expressions and understand where they're at, as well as take people to the internet and to your build and price, and specifically drill down on the vehicle that they're looking at. And I do share those details with you in the leveraging apps and technology, how to do so. So you will get there. That I do believe at some point a big portion of your business will come from virtual at any time of the year, as people get more accustomed, more confident buying without seeing the vehicle at all. And of course, on new, very easy to do. On used, a little bit more challenging, but I leverage the garage sale mentality there, where when you tell at a garage sale, if you say to somebody, yeah, that item's perfectly good, nothing at all wrong with it, they probably won't buy it because it's too cheap. It's $1, $5, $10, $20. It's a fraction of retail. But if you say to them, I've had it for 5 years, got a ton of use out of it, thoroughly enjoyed it. There's a couple of nicks, scratches, and glitches in it, but it's got a lot of life left in it. New, they're $100. I'll sell it to you for $20. You'll probably sell it, and you're selling it based on the fact that you're being so candid, honest, and open about it. When we do that with used cars virtually and on the phone and with a walk around, doing a live with a walk around with your smartphone, that is showing every scratch, stone chip, door ding. A customer just says, yeah, this is fantastic. I don't need to waste my time coming in, having a look, going through the process. And of course, if you're busy, I don't have to wait for you. I don't have to wait for the business manager. I think that's the department that's getting hurt the most. The finance and insurance office salespeople are struggling how to offer their products and services virtually as well. And we'll get there. We'll get better at it. But those questions that you answered, Carter, fantastic. I think it'll make a whole lot more sense as you move forward into blueprint and on into step 9. I don't know, so if everyone's reading the comments, if you have your comment tab open, Carter's asked, and now that people are looking and buying more online, in my opinion, what do I think the winter months are going to become? I think they're going to be what you make them. And as we move forward into the coaching activity, where you'll get to work with me one-on-one and leveraging the blueprint as our guide of where to find those customers to make it double-digit sales months every single month with predictability, then that may be the answer to your question. What we focus on, we get. If we focus on the fact that, yeah, winter months traditionally, based on walk-in traffic, are going to be really slow and typically dead. And that's normal right across the Northern Hemisphere, even in the Southern Hemisphere, unless you get into the big states, California, Florida, where they do slow down. Don't kid yourself. Kentucky, I had a really good friend that was a Chrysler dealer in Kentucky and selling huge volumes of vehicles. They slowed down the winter months too. But the pros, the seasoned pros, the guys who put the double digits on the board, like with consistency and big double digits, in order to get to that, it's finding those customers that you can draw into your funnel via the pipeline. You need to have a pipeline delivering customers to you, number one. And I believe that comes in three capacities: your repeat buyers, getting the second, third, and fourth vehicle in the driveway; the referral buyers, getting their family, colleagues, friends, and neighbors; and your network. Now, with those three entities, showroom and virtual are considerably less. Now, when I say virtual, it gets a little confusing. By virtual, I mean email and telephone sales, because these three, your repeat, referral, and network, you will sell to those virtually, because you've got a much higher level of trust with repeat, referral, and your own network. So your winter months can be just as affluent as your spring months because of your plan. What we focus on, we get. If we rely on the fact that, yeah, you know what, like average ordinary salespeople do, where they walk into the dealership every single day just waiting to see what will happen, what will develop. If nobody comes in, they go home empty-handed. And that's the reason why I built this program. I was that guy. There wasn't anybody teaching anything along this. In fact, to this day, I don't think anybody really is. Like Grant Cardone touches on it. Andy Elliott touches on it. And there's still focus on what's coming through the showroom doors. That you can look at all their training and all their material. Is if the customer's not in front of you, they don't have a suggestion for you. And I was frustrated with that. I mean, I go back to Jackie B. Cooper days, Tom Stuker, and then Grant Cardone. He was the kid at the time. And you look at all their systems are showroom driven, waiting for the OE or your dealer to drive people into the pipeline of the front doors and then into your funnel as you meet them and put them into the 8-step process. When we go out as salespeople, we leverage repeat, referral, and our own network, we're creating a pipeline, complementing the pipeline that the OE and the dealership is doing to bring people in. And now you don't have to have the fluctuation and the volatility of seasonality, because the pipeline is the secret. When you build the pipeline, that's why I continually say over and over again, and I'm sure you're getting the message, anybody will trade their car, truck, or SUV for newer, faster, shinier, with a full factory warranty. They just don't know they could or who to trust to do that with. That's what the pipeline does. And of course, you can get those people at Christmas time. You can get them in January. You can get them on the coldest day, the snowiest day, the worst driving day of the year. And of course, if you sell snowmobiles, you can sell a snowmobile on the hottest day of the year, if you firmly believe every shopper is a buyer, that they will trade whatever they've got, thanks Carter, for shiny, newer, faster, with a full factory warranty. They just don't know who to believe and trust. So when you're reaching out to them and constantly creating that funnel and repeat, referral, and networking, the beauty of those, and when you go through the blueprint, and we'll coach you through it. I work with every salesperson one-on-one, as you well know. When you get it, you all of a sudden have these buyers who haven't been influenced by advertising. That's the best part of it. And again, I built it because I was so frustrated. I was that guy standing at the showroom doors, watching the cars drive by on Fairview Street in Burlington, because I started at Leggett's. And I was like, wow, like nobody's coming in. Straight commission, no draw. I'm like, oh my gosh, how long can I last at this? Not to mention my buddies that had gone to university, they had these nice cushy jobs with salaries working at downtown Toronto. I'm like, no, I'm going to be a car dealer. I'm going to tough this out. When I realized, oh wow, All those cars driving down on the roadway, not coming in, are buyers. And oh, wow, there's nobody coming into the showroom. Well, I don't need just the person coming into the showroom. That's when you create the order and predictability for yourself. And when we look at those 5 entities, and I've actually got 6, a 6 column. I won't dive into the details because it gets even more elaborate than what I've shared with here, because it's your follow-up and a reason for follow-up that you can make money on every single email, SMS, telephone call that you make, doing it 12 to 24 times a year. Now you're attracting a buyer not influenced by advertising. And the magnificent thing about that is that they close quicker and easier and faster at a higher gross profit. Now, I know my eyes lit up at that, and I'm sure your eyes do too, but the really magnificent thing about Canada is our inability to sell over MSRP. Now, we didn't do that throughout the pandemic. There were a lot of dealers, and everybody probably has a story, knows a story about if you just tell the customer we're selling over MSRP and they agree to it, then it's a go around our laws. But for most dealers, they just realized that was enough for us to make. So even when they close at better gross profit, it's not like we're ripping anybody off. And that's another element for us as salespeople to recognize. And that's why we need to focus on every shopper is a buyer, and anybody out there, anybody, your friends, your family, your relatives, your previous coworkers, your colleagues, your friends from high school, anybody will trade their vehicle for newer, faster, shinier, more, the latest and greatest technology, full factory warranty, if they knew that you were the person to go to. That was a long-winded answer for your question. I hope I really addressed it. I really hope I got it for you there. Hope I nailed it. If I didn't, text me in. Thank you so much for that question and those comments. That is terrific, Carter. Really appreciate that. Anybody else have a question or a comment? Question or a comment? Just scrolling down through those. If you haven't gone to the mastermind, the private members Facebook group, and if you have not gone live for 2 minutes, I've made that suggestion 3 times now. If you're not all the way through the learning management system of the online portal, then you will not have had that opportunity to do so. But if you haven't already done so, please go live for 2 minutes. I'm going to call you out on it, because this is what customers like to see. And especially when you're following up, it makes follow-up so easy.
Oh no.
Carter, I think I can see you trying to use your microphone.
Oh.
And I need to unplug my. Go ahead, try that again, Carter. Were you trying to use your microphone? No problem. Got it. Thank you. Appreciate that. So if you're at home, good for you. That is great. I don't have my earbuds in, so when I'm running my mic, on again, when I'm running my mic, my studio mic, I can't hear. The speakers don't work. So if you are going to use your microphone, I just need to unplug, or I need to plug in. But well, fantastic, gang. Thanks so much for joining me. If there are no more comments or questions, I'm going to wrap this up. Again, the recording will be available tomorrow afternoon, late afternoon, for anyone who wants to see it again. You'll find the link unlisted. You're welcome on the YouTube channel of the Auto Dealership Academy. You can't find any videos there because, again, they're unlisted, just exclusively for you. Don't want them going to the entire world. We'll have a bunch of videos out very shortly. You're noticing probably the migration from Dynamics to Sales Gladiator to the Auto Dealership Academy. So we're getting it all in line now, in addition to everything else that we're doing. But this recording will be found in the Auto Dealership Academy private members group, our mastermind. The link will be there. And go for 2 minutes. Start practicing that. Tell us what you've learned. Tell us what's working. Tell us what you've experimented with, and harness yourself for 2 minutes. Shoot one a day if you want. That's fantastic. Ask questions. make recommendations and suggestions based on this and other tactics that are working for you. Let's make that a whole community for all of us. Thanks so much for joining me. My name is Bill Harvey. I look forward to seeing you again next Thursday at 10 o'clock. Bye-bye for now.